Check. Hey.
Smooth as hell.
It's the Porch podcast, y'all.
Wow.
Hey.
What's up? Oh, man. I like that
Welcome to episode 5 of the Porch podcast. It's your boy, DJ E, known as Mr. Influential, and I'm rocking with my brother.
The original in the building.
So, this episode, like we said, is called The Naturals. So, with that being said, Kid Natural, what up, Kid Natural? What's up with you, Kid Natural?
Hey, man. I'm all right there, little natural. Are the rest of the little guys doing it well?
Shout out to my brother Black, you know what I mean? When he sees Kid Natural, Little Natural, you know what I mean? Shout out to Black, man. Oh, man. Listen, man. How your week go?
Oh, man. You know, hey, I'm good. I'm just glad I'm on the other end of it, man. The week was what it is, what it was. I'm still around.
Still around.
I'm still around, so, you know.
Like a circle.
Yeah. That's it. So I survived it. That's all that matters.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, I could tell you this. My weeks are always good. As long as I'm breathing, I'm good to go.
That's a good thing.
I ain't got no complaints about nothing. I ain't worried about nothing. I'm good to go. As long as I'm breathing and I'm good, I'm happy.
That's what's up.
You know what I mean?
That's
I'm
what's
happy.
up.
But
That's what's up.
some people naturally, that's why we titled this The Naturals. You know what I mean? Naturally are angry.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Because I don't live that life. So I'm going to take a guess at it. Could it be they're skipping cycles?
Could be.
Could it be they're not staying committed? Could it be that some people think it's cool and they smelling themselves?
Right.
But before they kick off their day, they should understand their natural ability to be great.
Right.
I just read all the episodes down right quick. I just did all this shit.
I like how you did that. You tied them together. You put a bow in them. Hey, man, I mean, if they're angry, you know, and it's a difference, man. You know, if they just mad, naturally, like even when things going right, they mad. That's just who they are as a person, man. I mean,
sometimes that's just who people is.
Listen, you know, you got some people who pride themselves on just being disgruntled.
Right.
Just being, you know what I mean, just a problem to themselves and everybody else. You know, I guess sometimes they create that as a defense for disappointment.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of I heard a brother tell his significant other one day. He said, "I get you used to disappointment. That way it won't be uncomfortable when I do it." And I was like, you know,
Wait. He said.
Yeah.
He said.
Yeah.
I get you used to disappointment.
Right.
That way you could be used to it when it happens in so many words.
Right.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Okay. I felt exactly the way you feel now, but here's the thing. Sometimes people say things like that, man, because they intend on never changing.
Right.
And so they want you to kind of just partake in the dumb shit that they do.
Skipping the cycle.
Skipping the cycle as well as just
not even following the cycle.
Yeah, no, I mean they're admitted to it. Like it's never okay to do, you know, things that's just hurtful, spiteful, and mean.
Nah.
But people do them to people that they love more often than not.
Right.
You know, I know people that are, you know, unfortunately we all know people, you sit back and you watch some of the actions, you go, that's crazy. Like why?
Yeah.
Why would they do that to a person that seems on the surface like they love them so much? But the person that hate on them, talk shit about them behind their back or do different things,
right?
They got more respect for that person than anybody else.
Because a lot of people, some people are actually naturally fueled by people that they think need them. And the people that they think need them, they feel like they're above them. Instead of showing gratitude to everybody.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the people that they feel like it's trying to earn their respect, they treat them like shit to try to earn their respect, which none of it makes sense because we supposed to treat people the way we want to be treated.
Right. That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it don't always go like that, you know what I mean? Like, I know some people that may have an a-hole mentality and they come at a person crazy. They might come at me crazy. And I don't necessarily turn right back around and treat them the same way. And it's not because, this is where a lot of people, it's not because, they say treat a person the way you want to be treated. So if they treating me like an asshole, I'm going to treat them like an asshole. No, because now they're knocking you off who you really are.
That's right. Yeah.
That's like, that goes back to the saying of killing with kindness.
Yeah.
So I naturally try to kill people with kindness.
Yeah.
And not get riled up. Now, don't get it wrong. I can get riled up.
Right.
I'm not running around here talking about it like I'm a tough guy, and nothing, but I can get riled up.
Yeah, you definitely can respond.
You know what I mean? But my point is of the natural ability of being not knocked off my own ding.
Mm-hmm.
Because negative energy is going to come at you all the time to try to knock you off who you really are.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's more challenging.
And people often, we fall for that challenge. Yeah. Like we fail to the test of that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Energy doesn't die. It just transfers. But you can kill it. That's the thing. They say energy never dies, it just transfers. I agree with that to a certain extent. It just ain't gonna transfer up on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because things only live when you feed them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's basically where I'm going with that.
And they say a lot of times hurt people hurt people.
Right.
You know, my thing is this, I don't make excuses.
Right.
I had a conversation before with someone, and I said to them, I said, the problem that I have a lot of times, or what gets me into debates or whatever you want to call it, arguments, whatever you want to call it, is I don't make excuses. I'm not exempt from the same dynamics.
Right.
But I take the approach like, okay, making an excuse is just your way of trying to force something on me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't like that part. So
right.
The part that, you know what I mean? So like if I turn around and say to you, if I'm speaking to you about a pre-existing issue situation, right?
Right.
This was an issue before we even got to wherever we're getting to. Now the issue is actually happening.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I say something about it. You can't say, well, you say that in hindsight. No, I said that before it happened.
That's always been my feeling.
You know what I'm saying? But now, if you try to force it on me, I look at it from the perspective that you trying to push things on me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? You trying to push things on me. And that's the part that becomes somewhat of an issue for me.
Right.
I don't have a problem with a person being who they are. Like you just said. It's up to me or optional to me if I want to absorb that energy.
Right.
Now, if I turn around and say, oh, okay, like, man, bro, I used to, be places, you be at work.
Yeah.
And you can see somebody and you speak to them. And they turn around and look at you and be like, what's up?
Yeah.
And you like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Or I don't have people not say nothing to me at all.
Or don't say nothing to you at all, right? And then there's a part of you that be like, okay, wow. Now, am I going to be wrong when later on I see that person and say, yo, when I hollered at you earlier, fam, like, you seem like, you know what I mean? I don't know, you ain't want to say nothing to me or everything cool. Mm-hmm. And now they in a better mood.
Right.
So now they like, nah, man, why you say that? And it's like, what you mean why I said? We experienced it.
We just went
through it.
Yeah.
And see, my thing is that's the parts that I used to actually get into more of a issue with people.
Right.
You know what I mean? You trying to make me part of what your issue is, fam, whatever that situation may be. And I'm not willing to allow myself to just kind of succumb to whatever you dealing with.
Nah, I'm not stooping to your level.
Right.
Right.
Especially when it's something minute like, what's up? Like,
right.
How you doing? Mm-hmm. So, like, that kind of leads me to just at the point where in my life, like I said, man, I'm just trying to just be better, even better at not allowing things to kind of just stay in my mind like that. You know what I mean? But it's hard. It's not easy.
I definitely agree. There's been periods in my life where I would let that affect me. Mm-hmm. And just to touch on the last episode, those cycles and those cycles, and that part of my life cycle is what kind of shaped me into being a better person and a better guy, because I then learned that it didn't break me, so it made me stronger.
Right.
So I started using those abilities and understanding that I never want to go back to those cycles. So when I deal with certain things, I push through it. Like, you know, in 19, we lost our mother, and I didn't realize that I was depressed. I didn't realize I was depressed until like December of 20. Because I dealt with depression before, back in 2008,
Right.
and it hit me they hit in different ways.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This time around, in '08, I lost myself. From 19 to the end of 20, I didn't lose myself, but I realized that I wasn't feeling my regular self because I was missing mom, of course. But it clicked. One day it just clicked. Like, she wouldn't want you to do this. She wouldn't want you to be this way.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it was around when we first started the podcast that made me understand, you're not reacting, like, because I felt good. See, we had a great family element growing up in our house.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
A house of four, mom being the only woman. Me and you brothers, and of course, you have an excellent father. You know what I mean? So, growing up in that structure, anytime now that anything comes that reminds me of that time,
Yeah.
it gives me this energy and this level of, yo, and I'm here. And I think that the podcast took us back, because here's the funny thing. Here's a funny thing about Kid Natural and Lil Natural, right? I gotta give that Kid Natural and Lil Natural. You know what I mean? If y'all can see P face right now, you'll be cracking up. But here's the thing about Kid Natural and Lil Natural. We had a little podcast before we even knew what that was.
You know what? That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Damn, yo, that's
Yeah, before
right.
we even know that was. See how now when you could hindsight, you could look at your past.
Remember when I ripped your Reebok soccer shirt?
Yeah, you listen.
Yeah, I still
Listen.
ripped my shirt.
Listen. You ripped my shirt. Wonder. I want
Reebok
Reebok Soccer Classic.
Classic shirt.
Yeah. Then you try, in the middle of the episode, smooth. You know, in another episode, you try to take my Nike wristband off my wrist. It was like, that's mine, man. I'm like, which house is mine? It's mine. Nah, because I don't know where mine at in my room, man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I know I'm
not
not the only older brother that feel like a dirtbag, or at some point, like the little things that that I like, hey, man, my bad, man.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
though. Listen, when you try to take the Nike wristband off,
Right.
I set up like, man, word is mine.
Yeah.
This shit mine.
Yeah. No, yeah. No,
Guess what, though? Guess what? Really was yours. I'm just telling you that now.
Damn.
About
Took a
35
new
years.
podcast and bring it out.
Shit was really yours, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, I found mine behind
man.
the bed later, man.
Hey, look, man. We'll call it even.
Yeah. You ripped my shirt, I took the Nike wristband.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
Yeah. Wow. That's funny you bring it up. So I guess this was destined. Then.
Right.
this
So
is
it goes back to episode 1, where we asked what you do what your 15-year-old self was doing. And truth of the matter is, we just didn't realize it. Yeah, we was.
Yeah.
I thought about it the other day. I'm like, yo, we had a podcast. We used to have a music playing in the background.
Word.
Like think about this.
Wow.
Technology now. We stream music. Right? So we stream music, and those who are listening, people stream music, and we're also our podcasters on these different sites. Like, they stream music from Apple,
Right.
Spotify,
Absolutely.
Amazon Music, just to name it 3. But and also the Porch podcast is on there to download. Please, we ask you to download. Thank you.
I second that.
Yeah, yes. But remember when we used to watch Yo MTV Raps
Okay. Fat
and
Five Freddy.
literally put we used to we Yo MTV Rap, we Fab Five Freddy and Dr. Dre and Ed Lover. That's how far.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Fab Five was first.
Right.
Yeah. We literally used to take the radio
Mm-hmm.
and put it next to the speaker and hit record
I remember that.
on that.
I remember that.
Right.
Wow.
Look how technology has changed things and made stuff easier. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We literally used to do that. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this right here. Remember when you would sit and listen to the countdown of your local radio station to try to get the top songs?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
We like I said, we from Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey. Let's say stand up, Trenton, New Jersey. But
Exactly.
we were in the Philly market. And we used to listen to the 9 at 9 on Power 99
Absolutely.
and sit there and record all the joints and then walk down the street. You
Yeah.
had the hottest 9 songs every day if you sat there with a 60-minute tape.
Yeah, and then you try not to have the host sort of
The commercial dude come in.
and
Yeah.
it was funny. Yeah, nah, I was sitting back thinking about some other stuff too, man. One day I was sitting there and I was like, damn, what happened to certain things that kind of disappeared?
Mm-hmm.
It just disappeared, like phone booths,
Oh, yeah.
pay phones.
Right.
I sat there and I know it's like, why would that even be something you think about nowadays? You got a cell phone. Nah, the thing wasn't about that I needed one.
Right.
I was more or less blown away by the fact that they were just gone.
Yeah.
And I don't remember at any point in time, not that I sit outside and watch these things,
When did they take them?
but when did they take them?
Mm-hmm.
And that was one thing I was thinking about. Then I started laughing one day thinking about it. The Ring and all that stuff that, that they put on the house with the cameras and stuff like that you could see.
Right.
I thought about back in the day, we didn't even have anything like that. We had that older lady who would sit in the window.
Shout out to Miss May.
Shout out to Miss May.
I love Miss May. May she rest in peace.
Absolutely. And she could tell everybody, mom and pop,
Right.
or whoever you was living with or whatever, who had came by your house,
Right.
who had been bothering with your car or whatever the case may be like that. And so when you look back and you start to say, like, as time went on, like you were saying with electronics and different things, that, evolution basically from one situation to the next created, I started to think about the things that were no longer in existence.
Right.
And so that led me to think about people who are no longer in existence.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so I started to think about, like if I asked you, E, like, who is a person that is no longer with us? I'm talking about from a famous perspective. That if you had an opportunity just to sit with them and have a conversation with them, maybe not long, who would that person be? And, like, what's something that you may ask them?
Believe it or not, even though I wasn't a fan of this person through his whole career, until maybe his last 2 seasons, probably Kobe Bryant. And I say that because we just had the episode on cycles.
Right.
Kobe was one who didn't skip a cycle.
Absolutely.
He literally, we watched his whole evolution, his whole growth as an NBA player. I know for some people it's shocking. You know what I mean? They may think as like a DJ, I might say a Biggie Smalls or Tupac Shakur or even a Nipsey Hussle. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And these brothers gave us a lot, great body of work. When I went to LA, I visited Nipsey Hussle Square, and just to see everything around it, you know what I mean? Like, they now have it gated off. You can't just go in. But you see with what he did within his own neighborhood at that time. So that's very impressive. But we watched Kobe come in and go through trials and tribulations, blossom into a great father. Like, we didn't even know how great of a father he was until he died.
Right.
And you seen the relationship he had with his daughter that passed the same time as him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what I learned about hearing stories about Kobe Bryant, his ability to lock in with anything that he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be with him is, what made him be able to be that strong or that focused in everything that he did? What made him to be like what made him learn this ability to lock in that it's easy to lock into something that you love. And it's safe to say that Kobe Bryant loved basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But it was a conversation, and it's crazy, we lost him too in 2020, that Chadwick Boseman was saying that when he had a conversation with Kobe, and he was talking about acting or something like that, and he asked Chadwick for some advice, because that's the one thing Kobe never had a problem with. He never probably had a problem with talking to the people who he felt that was great at something for advice. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He never had that problem. And he asked Chadwick, I can't remember the exact question, but Chadwick said, he looked at him and said, give me 2 years. He said, but the way he looked at me, it was like his whole sight changed, and it just signaled straight pointing into his face. Like he looked through his soul almost, give me 2 years. Like I'm going to be a master at this shit. So, with Tupac and Biggie dying at the age of 24 and 25, it's easy for us to say that they're great. You understand what I'm saying? Biggie had 2 albums, but we never knew how the rest of his career might have turned. Because some people in music, it's hard to do like what Jay-Z did.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all those albums in a row like that. You know what I mean? And it don't mean it takes away from any of his greatness, but when we look at him at the same level, if they happen to fall off. Now, I don't think neither one of them would have fell off. That's just my opinion.
Nah, me neither.
But, you get where I'm going with.
Yeah.
But Kobe Bryant, how about you? Who would you want to have that conversation with?
It's because, like, I feel like I can learn from so many different people, unfortunately, who are not here anymore. I can honestly say, probably from a cliche perspective, I wouldn't have mind being able to talk to Malcolm X.
I like that.
Like I said, it's one of those things where I like minds. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I like people who understand that there is layers to the onion.
Right.
And they're not surface people.
Right.
So I like having conversations with people who can go deeper than the depths that I'm accustomed to.
Right.
Because it then makes me, kind of charge myself with the responsibility of going back and really digging into what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And in asking questions, it's not necessarily that I would have an inspiration to want to try to emulate, the life. But the ability to have that conversation with them would be an awesome situation. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
just to be able to say, clearly, like you said, like, there's some names of people who never, in my opinion, got to reach the full potential of their lives.
Absolutely.
And so there were some things left on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some things that kind of puzzle you to, okay, in the event that your demise didn't come when it did, where did you think that you could have gone with yourself?
Absolutely.
Like, where do you think that you could have, made an impact to the degree where, I mean, I guess they kind of did it in a sense. Right. Even in their absence now, people still refer to them. People still follow different things and research and, live by certain concepts of what, people were developing. But
right.
I would just want to see where they were going. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we got a piece of the blueprint. Like, I don't feel like we you know what I mean?
We never got the whole thing. But to piggyback off who you saying, Malcolm X.
Yeah.
One of my biggest questions would be, if he could come back now. Let's say he can come back now.
Yeah.
And they always say when people pass, they're still watching and all that type of stuff. So let's just say naturally that they were. Was his story that Spike Lee made spot on?
Yeah, was it accurate? Right.
Was it accurate?
Yeah,
like, I would ask that type of
question.
That type of question. And if it wasn't, because a mind like Malcolm,
Yeah.
where if it wasn't, he gonna tell you what it really was.
Yeah.
I would love to ask that question, and that's a great person, bro. Like you're right, Malcolm X, Dr. Martin Luther King.
Yeah, it's
You
certain
know,
ones that, like, you felt almost cliche as saying it, but I
yeah,
couldn't turn away from it because,
right,
like I said, like, if you go back and look at some of the teachings and the understandings of that time period, the fact that they're still relevant now,
absolutely,
like, is a reflection of the power of what they were trying to accomplish. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like he didn't see his children grow.
no,
You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine not watching my kids grow.
right,
So, like, I would be like you to some degree. I would want to ask the question, like, is the movie version of you
yeah,
accurate? I'm quite sure it's embellished to some degree because you got to make movies
it
interesting.
still gotta be, yeah,
I mean, it was a 3 hour long. I can remember I was working at the movie theater when that came out. It was 3 hours long.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And I could remember that there was people inside of the theater who were literally, being angered by some of the things that they had saw in the actual movie.
I remember that.
And I'm quite sure you do.
I
And
remember
and,
that.
and it was like I could remember I had a supervisor that came to me and he said that it's getting a little like aggressive in there. I'm like, what do you mean aggressive?
Yeah,
You got people that's in there sitting on the floor in the aisles watching the movie. And my thing to him was well, somebody out here sold them some tickets or something because
yeah,
they don't get in there unless they selling tickets. So
right,
the point in the situation, like when I watched it and I seen the magnitude of how it was affecting people,
right,
it just was like, yo, I wish I could have actually spoke to the brother because
yeah,
look at what he was able to, like, bro, he was been gone. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's just like, that's who it is for me. My question, I agree with you, would be in line with, is what was put into movie theaters an accurate example or breakdown of what took place in
of
your
what took
life?
place, yes,
And also, just the impact of the overall finished, polished product of the blueprint of what he was working on.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Did he feel like he was able to accomplish it? That's a good
That
one.
that's pretty much a great assessment of these people, and that's all we hope for, man. I mean, when we go day to day, naturally going day to day, we're recording a legacy.
Right.
For every great thing that we do, we want to be known for. Like right now, even when people might not think they ain't nothing or they ain't doing nothing, they're still recording a legacy. Just because your legacy may not be as big as a Malcolm X or a Dr. Martin Luther King or a Kobe Bryant or a Biggie Smalls or you know what I mean, a Tupac or a Nipsey Hussle, you often realize that people. It's good that people talk great about people when they're gone, but it only happens when they do great things.
Right.
Now, great things don't always have to be big, and everybody has to know it.
Right.
And I think we live in a world now that they want everybody to know what they do. It goes back to that validation thing. You know what I mean? When you putting in work just because you really feel and believe in that work, you get great results. You get natural results.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But when you skip cycles and rush those steps, and you just want everybody to know you as the funniest person in the world, or the best athlete in the world, or you got the top podcast in the world, are you really doing it just for that fame? Because God will give you that.
Absolutely.
He'll give you that. But do you really want to make a difference?
Yeah.
And I think everybody that we spoke about really made a difference. When you go back and you think about, okay, let's just use Biggie Smalls, for example. Biggie Smalls was big for the hip-hop community, but you seen what he did in Brooklyn. Because when he died,
Right.
that parade, Bedford-Stuyvesant, it went crazy. All them people came out because they felt like that was one of their own. You know what I mean? when Nipsey died.
Mm-hmm.
See how everybody lined up around. Some people ain't know who Nipsey Hussle was till he died.
I know.
They didn't even know who the brother was until he died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
similar situation with Pop Smoke.
right, exactly. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, their legacy was being born by doing the way they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And that's all we say. Try to live every day, not like it's your last. I'm not going to make that statement.
I got you.
But live every day as this is the best page of my legacy today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah, you want to write it like, and the concept of just like showing your appreciation. You know what I mean? Reminding people how much they mean something to you.
Right.
Being like I said, just very comfortable with the reality that you want to be the best version of you at all times. That way you don't feel like you left nothing out.
Exactly.
Don't be as critical. I know that's not always easy. Like I said, a person like myself, there's some things I still work on. I think that it's okay to question, but it's also okay to understand that you don't have to, how can I say, be uncomfortable with being questioned.
Right. Because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. When we was kids, man, and everything is a little bit different. Parents used to make statements like, you do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
And you just, once you had a clear understanding of that,
right,
you started saying like, mom or dad or grandma, grandpa, that don't make sense.
Nah.
Do as I say. Listen, I understand that because you grown,
yeah,
the repercussions of it may be a little bit different.
Right.
But if you teaching me right is right and wrong is wrong,
absolutely,
it ain't no more, that wrong ain't no more right because you grown and I'm a kid.
Exactly.
And so
exactly,
we don't realize sometimes some of the things that we've kind of like absorbed along our growth.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle of different things, and on top of that, it's just also, an unrealistic assessment of what the ultimate goal is. Like if I'm trying to instill into anybody, whether it's my children, whether it's my significant other, or anybody, that what's going on in the situation, or maybe the way that they handle it, the way I see it, is being handled wrong.
Right.
I can't make it make sense by justifying if I did it that same way that it'd be right.
That'd be right. Yeah.
I can't do that. You know what I mean? And expect that it's gonna make sense to them.
Right.
You know how many times I've had conversations, and I'm just saying, like in general, whether it's with my wife, whether it's with my kids, whether me and you have the conversation, Pop,
right,
whoever. You know how many times I done said something in the middle of the conversation, heard myself say it, and go, damn, like, did I just say that? Like,
right.
That, I can see why that would be a complicated thing for a person to understand where he coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of go back and reflect on, damn, what's the message I'm really trying to send?
Right.
You know what I mean? That I'm either better than the situation, or I'm, what I can do, you can't do.
Right.
All of those different things. So we got to just be mindful, man, like, that as we're going along and we're, like you say, smelling the roses and giving people their roses while they're still here, that we need to all charge each other with the same concept of, like, let's empower each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's not wait till you meet an untimely demise to be like, damn, he was right, man. He was always smart.
Yeah.
He used to tell me all the right stuff. I don't know. Like, why would you don't have to wait for that?
Nah.
I've sat in situations, bro, and I've said something to a loved one. They be ready to argue against me, fight me tooth and nail over it.
Right.
Turn around, 15 minutes later, somebody else
say the same thing.
Right. And they go, you right, and you get it. And I sit there and go, you know what? What just happened here?
Yeah.
What just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's because of who it comes from. it also makes us feel like sometimes, do they respect that person more, or are they actually agreeing with that person because maybe of their accomplishments that they've already did stuff. See, some people think sometimes you don't have knowledge in things because you may not have experienced it. Where experience can be the best teacher, but it's not the only teacher.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I used to give people advice on stuff, and they would think that, well, if he knew so much about that, then why he ain't do it for himself? You ever stop and think I just ain't want to do that? Because at the end of the day, when we painting the picture of our legacy, we want it to be our way or what we want to do. And sometimes doing stuff you don't want to do when it's not necessary, it's just a waste of time.
And that's all it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Time is the true richest, man. We you get a certain amount of it every day, right? You lose it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
It charges back up every day.
Every day.
You know what I mean? But if you don't use it right, that's why we try to invest energy, time, money into the right things. Some people don't want to invest time. They rather just waste it. I don't know. I'm not judging them. That's just how they choose to spend their money. If you ever realize it, that a lot of millionaires and a lot of people that's rich, who stayed rich through their whole time, they didn't master the secret about money necessarily. They mastered the secret about time. You understand what I'm saying? Because anytime you plant a seed, it takes time for the harvest.
That's right.
Everybody wants it overnight, but it ain't necessarily going to work like that overnight. You have to honestly sit back and think about the fact that knowing that I got to put in the time and I got to put in the energy. Now, well, you know what usually takes people away from the commitment of it, like we said, okay, of course, results. But it's just the fact that they're not spending the time the way they want to spend the time. That's all it is. You know what I mean? But naturally, you got to want to do something. You know that's right, Kid Natural, right?
I understand, Little Natural. Nah, I agree with you, bro. I just think that, like you said, it's growth and development. You know what I mean? I'm just glad to see that, as we've aged, our understanding of the things that's going on in life,
Right.
Hasn't taken us away from the fact that we know that we have to evolve with it.
Right.
I think about a lot of stuff, man. Obviously, I think the older that we get, we try to do, as much self-evaluation as we possibly can, because at some point or another, you got to come to grips with, you don't know how long you're going to be here. And I'm not trying to talk crazy.
Nah, you're right. You're just right. You're
But
right, though.
you don't know when you younger, man.
You think you got all
You
the
feel
time
like
in the
you
world.
got all the time in the world, man.
Right.
I can always get it right later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I live wild, live carefree. Don't save nothing for a rainy day. Not everybody, because you got some people that's just like from the time that they can, bust moves, they bust 'em.
Right.
And they win, and there's things that they just develop, and it works out right for them. I think back sometimes, like, if it was 3 things that I could do over again, just to use that for an example.
Right.
If it was 3 things that I could do over again,
I'm listening.
and it has nothing to do with me having an issue with how my life turned out. So I want to say that first, because it doesn't.
No, not at all.
But the 3 things I probably would do over again is, I definitely would have stayed in school in terms of at least finishing, getting, my associate's degree, dealing with what I was going to school for. I was an engineer major. I was going to school for architectural building construction technology. I would have finished that.
Right.
Whether or not I pursued it as a career, that may not have changed.
Right.
But I would have finished that to have that feather, so
Right.
to speak.
Right.
Another thing that I probably would have done is I would have found out a lot sooner about how to invest money
Right.
when I was a lot younger, and my energy level was different.
Yes.
clearly I'm not an old man now, ancient now, but I'm just thinking from the, the spunkier times in my life, so to speak.
Right.
And I would have done things differently like that. And then probably lastly, I would have made it my business to spend more time with my family.
Yes.
Like you said about mom, that's a void that's never gonna go away.
At all.
And there's things that that are just like you say as time goes on and you try to just kind of wrap your mind up around the fact that you did your best in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that I would have done differently, but those are the three main things. I would have finished school. I definitely would have found things to invest in a lot earlier. Um, and I definitely would have spent more time with the family just to have more memories, more everything.
Well, to piggyback off you
So
saying
what would you do? If you
same, pretty much the same thing. Except the school part. I think the biggest thing about the school part when people go to school is what fuels you to want to keep going. You have to stay interested in what you're interested in. Let's just say, for example, it takes 2 years to get your associates, right? 4 years to get your total 4 years to get your bachelor's. Sometimes another 2 to get your master's, and then another 2 for your PhD and some things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I said I've been DJing for 24 years, so in that case, I could be a doctor 3 times in DJing if it was a degree,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing about school, we have to remember to keep ourselves involved with the things that we want to do. You don't have to work for something, work with something, or work at something like how you said pursuing it as a career.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you may not necessarily have to do that, but if you still read on it, you still stayed interested in it.
Yeah.
It fuels you.
Yeah.
That's why I was blessed to get my associate's degree in business management / finance, right? With a finance focus, because it was a list of everything. And I knew the finance focus was going to have a lot of math. And when you do math in college, it's a different beast. You know what I mean? It's just a different beast, right? But I didn't want to do it in human resources, even though I still had to take a human resource management class. I didn't want to do it in entrepreneurship. Was pretty. It was right there. I thought about doing that too, but I did it in finance because for the longest I could live, I was always interested in how money, not just making money, but how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the investing, I fought myself a lot from the past. I blew a lot of money that I should have invested. And I think the problem where people, and I'm going to say the black community, I mean, not to just point us out like that, but, where we fall victim at is we think we got to invest in what's going to be the next big thing.
Right.
If we all would have known, okay, the Amazon was going to be a big thing to invest in, we all would have bought it. If we all would have known back in the day when Yahoo, Google, with Apple, before the iPhone dropped in 2008, I think the stock was $11 a share. You see what I'm saying? So now it's up there, $200 a share or something like that. We have to learn to be able to invest in small victories too.
Yeah.
The number one investment that anybody should be having to go to work every day is retirement. Outside of what you already have at your job. If you have a 401k or if you have a pension or a 401c, whatever you got, you should be investing in an IRA or any other thing, deferred comp, whatever you want. Because, like you said, you're not ancient, you're not an old man, but you wish you would have did it when you was a lot younger. Shout out to a great finance motivating speaker type of guy, Tony Robbins. He always tells stories on how people can be a millionaire when they retire. I understand how inflation is and how life goes, but the key to retirement, when you do retire, is supposed to be living by your means.
Absolutely.
But if we treat all our income like cash flow, as it comes in, it goes back out. not investing, not. We're never going to stop working, even when you're an old man.
Right.
You're going to keep working. So we learn things like that. I wish I could have did that, and I wish I would have started. Even though I've networked all over my life, I wish I would have started networking earlier. It's funny. I'm going to say this. Remember we used to go back in the day. Okay, mom and dad was in a van club.
Okay.
Right? they was in a van club, and we used to go camping and all that type of stuff. You know, a lot of the members in the van club, we looked at them as aunt and uncles.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it was really a brotherhood, sisterhood, a whole family
it's like
thing.
a family, right?
So I remember one year we went to the Fallout.
Okay.
I think it used to be in Flemington.
Yeah.
And I met this dude, this young boy. His name was Lloyd, right? Me and Lloyd got cool. I think that was his name. It could have been anything. It could have been Bernie. I think it was Lloyd, though.
Go with Lloyd.
All right, we're going to go with Lloyd, all right? So me and Lloyd, we became cool because we won the balloon toss. When they used to fill up the water and throw it back and forth and all that. So, probably about 8, 9. So we cool, we hanging out. Lloyd was like, man, you cool, Brent. Back then, it wasn't no social media. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook. So Lloyd gave me, we switched numbers. I remember we was all by the campfire at the end of the day. All of us, the families, right? I take Lloyd's number and threw the shit in the fire. Right? 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 Hold on. Right? Don't ask me why. I had to give it all. I know now why. I know why now.
Floyd ain't mean nothing to you, man.
Lloyd. See, he ain't mean nothing to you either. You just called him Floyd.
I put an F in front of it because of the fire you threw there.
See what I'm saying? But Lloyd,
You
right?
the one that was like F Lloyd.
Yeah,
that's
F.
why I
Lloyd.
came with Floyd. Shit. Man. Hey, go ahead.
Listen though, man.
Yeah.
Me and Lloyd
Yeah.
lost contact.
I wonder why.
He called though. He called because I gave him He called one day. We never talked back and forth, right? You know, and that's back when long distance wasn't free because Lloyd wasn't from Trenton. Remember if you called up to Quaker Bridge Mall, that came up on the bill back in the day.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
right.
You're right.
So, I often wonder, said, damn, what if me and Lloyd would have stayed cool? What is Lloyd today? Lloyd might be a real estate investor, millionaire, anything. And if we would have been cool like that, because just being cool, once I meet a person, I still got friends from the first grade.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's doing great.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what that could have been. That could have been somebody that was showing me a different way. I had this conversation about networking. We often stay locked in and only like to deal with people from our neighborhood.
Right.
But how do we grow if we all learn the same thing from the same neighborhood? Now, I ain't going to go over there. He from that side. Or I ain't going from that side. When we could actually teach each other some things. That's the one thing I wish I would have started networking early. It wasn't until I went to a prep school program to learn about networking harder. You know.
I remember you going there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that like I said, man, you know, we charge responsibility at this point because really, you know, your success is going to be measured on what the legacy that you kind of create for your children.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, person look at you, E, and they see you succeed. They'll tell you 10 times over, E always knew you was going to be something. Whether they
Right.
believe that or not, they going to say it.
Yeah, they definitely
Because that's what's
said.
going on. You know what I mean? But when your children, you know, kind of demonstrate those characteristics, it's different because now you get to see, you know, certain aspects of what you know you invested into them.
Right.
You know what I mean? You get to see the things that you invested in, the time that went into helping them, you know, cultivate, you know, their own minds and help them develop those things that they put into practice. So, you know, I agree with you. You know, definitely in hindsight, you know, learning how to network, the value of it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know, writing more things down, you know, like we make jokes about the kid little natural thing, but
Yeah.
that was a rap thing.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, you know, names come to be because of what you want to present yourself as.
Right.
and we wanted to be, naturally who we were.
Right.
And that's kind of like how that developed. And it was just like, when you look back at it now, it's funny
Yeah.
because the names are funny.
Right.
But we are still, in essence, even though we don't go by those names,
Right.
naturally who we are.
Right.
And so, I just really, really, like you said, man, that was a really good one in terms of the networking part of it. I wish we would have taken the same way we took the approach to create our names based off of what we wanted to present ourselves as,
Right.
and kind of just let that been the guide to a lot more things.
Right.
When you look back at it, like you said, maybe we are right where we were supposed to be.
We are. Because it was inevitable.
Maybe we did, or maybe we are fulfilling what you had asked about that situation about the 15 version of us.
The naturals.
The naturals, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, man, the porch, man, I wish that I could have bottled up some of that stuff, man, those conversations.
Yeah.
And saved it. Luckily, I was there to live them, so some things you just retain and you remember. But I wish that I could have actually just saved them. So, like, my kids don't really understand that concept. You know what I mean?
Kids don't sit on the porch.
They don't
no
sit
more.
on the porch.
Nah.
They don't. Everything is like you said through the social media world, and it's part of their generation. So I can't even be like, yo, what you doing? They'll look at me like, what you talking about? Like, this is what we do at this stage and age.
Right.
So it's like, I really have a lot of appreciation, bruh, for the porch.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
listen.
really, really do, because it really, really just set me up in more ways than I could have ever imagined, man.
Right. And to be just to piggyback off what you're saying, man, that's what I said. That's why I said what I said earlier about when we first started, it reminded me of home.
Yeah.
And that's what made me think about the little video cast where you rip my shirt, all that shit. And the wristband. You know what I mean? But
Stole my wristband.
what makes memories so great is actually seeing what you grew and you blossomed into.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like it really is it's a great feeling, man. You know what I mean? But we naturally understand and naturally get where we want to go. So now, looking later on in the life, because when you're young, your mind is full of dreams. You know what you want to do, and you really even believe more that you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But somewhere around the line, you stop the very first, like you said, the very first challenging issue you have. Instead of saying, I'm going to stay with this and I'm going to just keep going because I believe this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we go through these things to learn. Like guess what I watched last night?
What you watch?
MC Hammer story.
Okay.
I don't know why I watched it. It just popped up on my YouTube feed. And I forgot that Hammer used to preach. I don't know why I forgot about that. He was a preacher first. Mm-hmm. Then he became a rapper. Mm-hmm. Then he went back to preaching. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, the neighborhood knew Hammer as the preacher. We learned MC Hammer as the rapper. Mm-hmm. He made a bigger spark on life after he became rapper. It was still a necessary time that he had to go through.
So he was in a cycle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Necessary cycle.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, man, this is the Porch Podcast, man. This is episode 5. And before we sign up out of here, I want to remind you to listen to us on all your streaming sites.
Yes, sir.
Okay? That would be Amazon Music,
Apple Podcasts,
Radio Public,
Stitcher,
Spotify,
and everywhere else.
That's it. And you can watch all the videos and stuff on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search The Porch Podcast. That's spelled DAPORCH Podcast.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Influential. That's at underscore ENFLUENTIAL. You can find P at P Original 1996 and the Porch as a whole at DA Porch 30, the number 30. Like I said, man, this is the Porch Podcast, episode 5. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Absolutely, y'all.
Right.
Peace.
Peace.